Hello and welcome everyone. So today I thought I would take the opportunity to accomplish something I've been meaning to get around to for a while now, and that is to sort through and organize all my amigurumi, because I have accumulated a lot of it over the years. Probably too much if I'm being completely honest, but given that I am still pretty severely limited in the amount of crocheting I can actually do, and I'm also limited in the time I can sort of sit at my computer and edit, so that rules out pretty much everything I need to do for this channel. But I would take this opportunity to get that done, and I will bring you guys along on the journey with me. Before we get to that though, there is some exciting news I want to share with you all, and that is I have finally finished her. Yes, after like 3 years, I have finally completed the pattern for my big spider, who is my channel mascot. Now, I was going back through some of my old videos the other day, and it occurred to me that I don't think I've ever actually shared her name with you all. So let me introduce you, or reintroduce you, to Jinx the spider. She is a little bit of an upgrade from the original Jinx. This was one of the first fully original patterns that I ever made, so there were a couple of improvements that I made to Jinx this time around. Let me put you back here. But yeah, her written pattern is now available on my Patreon to all of my Yarn Horde members. But if you don't want to join the Patreon, because I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, when I eventually get my Etsy store up and running, which I plan to be sometime in the next couple of weeks, but the way things have been going recently, I'm not going to promise a particular date just in case, but it should be up soon-ish, or I plan for it to be up soon-ish. So she will be available on there as well. Now that's out of the way, I first need to gather all of my amigurumi. I have amigurumi scattered all over the place. There is some in boxes, there is some in chests, there are some in bags. I have a whole tower of amigurumi over there. There is even some I have in my room, but I'm probably not going to bring those ones in because they're sort of the ones I like to keep for just decorative purposes. So they're sitting on my shelf there. They're fine. It's everything else that I need to sort through. So let's go grab the ones I need to grab first, and then we can work our way through them. And I'm guessing some of this is going to be as much of a surprise to me as it is to you guys, because I do not remember what is in some of these bags and boxes. I genuinely have no idea. Oh, so this should be fun. Let me go grab it. Let me go grab the stuff. I thought we would start with the most accessible amigurumi, and this is the sort of tiered tray thing I keep over in the corner there. You may have seen it in some of my videos. It's kind of hanging out in the background a lot, but most of the amigurumi on here is ones that I've left out for my nieces and nephews to play with, so they know when they come into our multi-purpose craft office room here that they can play with any of the amigurumi on that shelf, and I want to keep it that way. So let's go through what we've got here, because in the last couple of weeks, despite this tower supposedly being for the kids, I've just been sort of piling amigurumi on, just chucking it in willy-nilly with no thought to what is actually supposed to be there. So I'm going to fix that today. Firstly, big, I don't know if I can actually lift that, but big glass jar here. This contains all of my challenge amigurumi. So when I did the 6 designs challenge, my bingo challenges, what else have I done? Any challenge where I've had to crochet or design sort of little amigurumi, they've ended up in this jar here. Though this is one of the things that I just sort of chucked on there. I want to move that. I don't really want my nieces and nephews to have easy access to a big glass jar like that. I think that's asking for disaster. So I'm going to move that onto the floor for now, and I'll find a better spot for it later. Moving down to the second tier of the tray. The first bag I have is just sort of odds and ends. These are all bits from various challenges. Some of them are prototypes. A lot of them are actually pieces I've crocheted in my collaborations with Complicated Knots, and I've kept all of those in this bag because they may come in handy in future challenges. But they do come in handy, so I'm going to be keeping all of those. Again, probably not the most appropriate spot for them here, but we can figure out a good placement for them later. Also on the second shelf, we have this bag of random amigurumi. Again, a lot of this was intended for my nieces and nephews so they could play with that. So that will definitely need to be sorted out. And then on the very bottom of the shelf, we have yet another bag full of amigurumi. And this is quite a mixed bag. I'm not entirely sure what it contains at the moment, but we'll go through that as well. We've just started and already there's a heap of amigurumi to get through. Where do we even begin, seriously? I think we'll start with this bag. One of the reasons I have so many amigurumi, I probably shouldn't talk while I'm crinkling this plastic, should I? One of the reasons I have accumulated so much amigurumi is when I am designing a pattern, I usually do 1 to between, I don't know, 3 and 4 prototypes before I'm actually happy with it. And now that I'm making written patterns as well, that means there's going to be additional pieces on top of those original ones. The second reason I have so much amigurumi is that when I first started, I kind of went a little bit wild with it. I wanted to learn to crochet to make amigurumi. I did that, and then I did not stop making amigurumi, and a lot of those original pieces I kept, despite them being not so great quality. They do have a lot of sentimental value because they were some of the first pieces that I made. And then on top of that, I did make quite a bit of amigurumi that was intended to be sold at a market. One of my sisters, or 2 of my sisters actually, were going to have a market stall. They had big plans to, set up shop and sell their handmade stuff. And they were like, do you want to crochet some stuff? I'm like, yeah, I can crochet some plushies for you. So I did that. And then they never ended up having a market stall. So I have a bunch of amigurumi left over from that. And then I suppose the final reason I have so much amigurumi is I just enjoy making it. Like, it's fun. I enjoy sitting down, crocheting, especially when I find a pattern that I really like. With my own goldfish pattern, I have made so many of these just because I really like it. I enjoy crocheting them. The reason isn't much deeper than that. But now it's gotten to the stage where I am running out of storage space, so I really need to do something about this amigurumi infestation. And so what I will do to try and curb that is break all my amigurumi down into categories. I'm going to have the kitty category, which is the amigurumi I'm going to keep for my nieces and nephews. I'm going to have the donate category, where I'm going to place any amigurumi I think is of high enough quality to donate. I'm going to have the keep category, which is amigurumi I want to keep. And then I'm going to have I'm going to call it the to sell category, because my sisters have mentioned again recently that they would like to have their own markets or their own Etsy shop, and that amigurumi that I originally intended for that purpose can go into that category. And if that doesn't eventuate, I may swap that from the to sell category to the donate category. Enough rambling. I've put off sorting through this amigurumi way too long already. We're going to start with this little pile I've got here. The first thing I think I will do is just pick out all of the pieces that I know were prototypes. So for example, I've got my axolotl here. I have, another axolotl, but a Minecraft version here. I know these were prototypes. And I know in the later versions of the patterns, I did make some improvements. So there's not much use hanging on to those at the moment, so I'm going to leave those there. These bloody whales, that's another thing I've made plenty of. You can go. My moss wall is falling, stay there. While I think of it, I thought of it then while I was looking at my background here. One of my secondary goals during this whole process is going to be to pick out some amigurumi I want to keep in my background here. The bottom half at the moment I think is looking okay. The top half, not so much. That leaves a lot to be desired. So I want to fix that up. But I'm also thinking of when I can crocheting like a big mesh net and sort of hanging it up here and just putting some amigurumi inside of that. You probably won't see it very often, but it'll look a lot neater and that'll make me feel better. So that is one sort of way I'm thinking to approach the background here. So this whale, I think, is a good candidate for that. So I'm going to stick you back there. And then the final loose stuff I had was the Easter amigurumi I made recently during my Easter amigurumi challenge. And those were all for my nieces and nephews, so that's going to go in their pile over here. Now we're going to go through this bag here. These bloody griffins, I swear, they gave me so much trouble. Well, it wasn't really the griffins' fault. Where did the other one go? So there's 3. I think there's like 2 more kicking around somewhere, but there's also this one, which is only sort of partially finished. But if you'll remember, several weeks ago, or it could even be months at this point, I did my 1 hour challenge where I made my fox sparks. This was the 1 hour challenge, and in the future, when I can, I would like to attempt the 10 hour, then 100 hour versions of that challenge. But if you saw that video, you will know that that was like my 7th attempt at that challenge. These were the first. Everything, absolutely everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong when I first tried that challenge. So I've ended up with like 5 or 6 little griffins. I partially finished the 10-hour griffin. It was just a complete disaster. So that's what all those griffins are from. This was a challenge caterpillar. And looking at this, I'm not going to give it to my nibblings. It's not anywhere near good enough to donate. The only thing I can do with amigurumi like this is repurpose them. I think I'm going to have to add another category, and that will be the repurposed category. So I can pretty much destroy these amigurumi. I will take them apart and reuse as much of the stuffing and the yarn as I can. For now, the repurposed category is going to sit there. Now we can move on to the final bag, and there is a lot of very old stuff in here. I think I may use this bag as the repurposing bag because there's a few in here I think can be cut up and reused. So this was my I was going to say amigurumi crossing, but no, that's not right. My Animal Crossing gift box. All that's left is the box, and the dogs did get a hold of this at some point, so it's a little bit scungy now. Definitely going to repurpose that one. Here's my Stitches prototype. My youngest niece loves that, so you're going in there. This was one of my earlier attempts at Bulbasaur. I think I made that not long after I started crocheting. This is one of those ones where I could repurpose it, but I might hang on to it for sentimental reasons because it's... Look at that, that's hideous. But again, this was one of my first ever attempts at creating my own amigurumi. So I might hang on to you. I have here's another one that can be repurposed, and another one that the dogs got a hold of, so you're going to go in the repurpose pile. That's not an amigurumi. Somehow a Furby has ended up in my amigurumi bag. Do not ask me how that happened. This is my sister's when she was a kid. I remember she wanted like a Furby for ages. She was obsessed with them, but my parents couldn't afford to just go out and buy a Furby, so it took her a while to get one. But yeah, that was hers. I wonder if it still works. And there's my little turtle. I just made that recently for the written pattern. That can be repurposed. I think that was, again, another early attempt at making my own amigurumi. And I don't really have any attachment to this one. It doesn't have the same vibes as Bulbasaur does. That was part of the What the Hook. Was it What the Hook? Yeah, I think it was called What the Hook I used to do. I might have to bring that back at one point. I did enjoy doing that. I just got a little bit too much to try and do that monthly. Have any of you been here long enough to remember What the Hook? Because I think I did that sort of fairly early on in the channel's life. I might have to bring that back one day, just sort of a one-off thing. That could be fun. Here are some more early amigurumi. Got a dino, a goldfish, and a little unicorn. None of these are my own designs. I made these again in the early days before I really started trying to design my own pieces. I think for most of this, there's a couple of stragglers, but most of this is just old pieces. Like there's a cake. I have no memory of ever crocheting a cake, and yet here it is. But most of these, not that, there are some odd things in this bag. I just found a Power Ranger. Now I don't remember what I was saying. I think what I was saying is most of the stuff in this bag is just old pieces. Some of it can probably be kept, but most of it I think can be repurposed. Yeah, I think a lot of it can be repurposed. I might keep, there's a couple of cool little sea slugs in here I might hang on to, but everything else I think will be much better served taking it apart and reusing either the yarn or the stuffing or both. So bag, you stay there. You will now be my repurposing bag. I don't like that Furby staring at me. It's creeping me out. So we've made a little bit of progress. Not a ton. But at least we've got some of our piles starting to take form here. I've got a spare bag. I might chuck in here the amigurumi I'm not sure what to do with yet. That's going to be all of you. But I think now that we've done the tiered trade, what is that thing even called? There's a name for it. I cannot think of it at the moment. But whatever it's called, we're done with that now. I'm going to put that away, and then I think I'll grab it in the next box. Actually, I think there's a small bag. We might do that next. And here we have the smaller bag. And after just a quick glimpse inside, I'm pretty sure this was my Pokemon bag. Yep. Sorting through it confirms that theory. A couple of these are my own original designs. I know the Squirtle was mine. I don't know if you can see those properly. Squirtle. Chikorita was mine. I think I did Charmander. And Cyndaquil. And all the rest that I've got in here, not many, just a few. I think they were patterns that I followed. I cannot for the life of me remember which patterns they were, but they were certainly ones I followed. Oh, I think this must be dusty. My nose is starting to itch something fierce. I'll grab out my other Pokemon here. And I'm just going to give this to my nephew, see if he wants it, because he loves his Pokemon. He's really got into it more and more over the last few months, and it's always really cute if he gets a new Pokemon card or something. He's always excited to show me, and I love that. I love being able to share that with him. And I think with that, I'm going to take a quick break to rest my voice, probably take some antihistamines because I can feel the dust, and I want to have a stretch too. So I'm going to have a few minutes break, and then we'll come back and we can do the first chest. I think the smaller chest will go through that next. So these are apparently already in bags, and I'm hoping that's a good sign, meaning I've already sorted through them. So I'm not going to hold out much hope. I'll start with this one. What have we got here? Apparently a lot of keychains. I have no memory of making these. Oh, I do remember making these ones. These are my pride snails. Should hang the ace one up, shouldn't I? I can go with my ace spider. Trans, got the buy one. Pan. Then just the rainbow one. It's all tangled up. I don't know if I made any more, but yeah. Pride snails. I seriously have no memory of turning all of these into keychains. Why did I do that? I was trying to stay optimistic in thinking that I had already sorted these because they were in separate bags, but I don't think I did, because aside from some of these, or even the majority of these having keychains, they don't really have much else in common. So I don't know why I would have placed them all in the same bag together, but we'll go through some more of these bags and then we can try and divide them up however we think is appropriate. Right, let's chuck you out on the table. Oh no. We have a mushroom on the loose. Again, it's really a mixed bag. I don't understand what I was thinking, if I was thinking anything at all when I put these all together. I don't think it's really worth trying to investigate what Parsley was doing. Our best bet at the moment is just to sort these out now and place them in the appropriate bags, and hopefully futurely we'll remember why she did that. But at least this time I'll have video evidence of what I was doing and why. And it's probably not even worth sorting them just yet. I may as well open the remaining bags and see what's inside those as well. Because, well, maybe one of the bags, because this one has amigurumi in it. But this one looks like it has an incomplete bluey. And this has a couple of bunny ear hats that I think I was making for my oldest niece when she was a baby, which was 5 years ago at this point. So excellent work on that front, Lee. Definitely donate pile for this, because I've got this one, but looking in the bag, there's also a brown version and a grey version. Why I made all these, I really don't know, but I did. But at least they're in their own bag. That could be my donate bag for now. But then we can move on to this final bag here. I want to put it out on the table, but I'm pretty sure stuff's going to go everywhere if I do that. Maybe if I can put it back here. Yeah, you guys can see that, right? So there's a lot of prototypes in here. Like this, for example, was the prototype for my switch case. My teacup dinosaurs. Oh, they were so cute. I love these. Maybe they can go in my background, because if there's two things I love, it is tea and dinosaurs. This was the quote-unquote proper amigurumi gift box. It's, yeah, gotten itself a little bit squished and tangled, but that's what it originally sort of looked like. See, this little guy should be in the challenge jar, I think. There's another moss. See, I don't know why I've got these separated. See, they've got mushrooms in here too, and there's mushrooms in that other bag. More octopi. There's my red cherry shrimp and matching moss ball. My dragon fruit dragons. I think I made these for my sister because she really enjoys dragon fruit and dragons. And that's really all I have left. No idea why I have separated those. For now, I think I will take everything I've made into a keychain, such as this guy. I will put all of those in one bag. Then I will take all the pieces that were prototypes that I worked on as I was designing patterns. I will put those in a separate bag. So like this, for example, I don't even remember which was the original or the prototype dragon fruit dragon. It was one of those, but I will take all those prototypes, I'll put those in a separate bag. And then of the amigurumi that is left, I will decide what I want to keep, what I want to put into the amigurumi play pile, and what I want to donate. Was this stuff I was going to keep? Well, that was to sort through, wasn't it? No wonder I can't remember anything about sorting these bags previously. I can't even remember what I did 10 minutes ago. We're all set now because that was all that was in that chest. And then we've just got the big chest to go, and there is literally no way I'm moving that chest by myself. So I'm just going to bring the amigurumi over individually. Thankfully, I think a lot of that is in bags as well, so it shouldn't be too hard. It turns out that chest wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. It was pretty neat for one, which is a good thing, and it mostly contained all those amigurumi I crocheted for the market that never happened. So I've got a couple of spiders. There's a few caterpillars. And I remember when I was crocheting these, that was actually sort of the very start of my using up all the chunky yarn that I had, because I really wound up with a lot of it for someone who does not enjoy working with it. So there's those guys. And aside from those that were loose in the chest, I've got a couple of bags. And again, these are just things I made for that market. I've got a few whales, a few chunky whales. There's a jellyfish. And to be honest, I think the remainder of this, oh no, I was going to say the remainder of this bag is fish, but it's fish and cows. I've got a couple of koi, but mostly it's goldfish. But then down the bottom here, I've just got a bunch of these cute little cows. I really do like how amigurumi turn out using this thicker weight yarn. I really do wish I enjoyed crocheting with it more. It would make the whole experience much more pleasant. Pleasant is the word. So there's not much use taking all of this out of the bag, really. Oh, look, there's a duck in there too. But yeah, there's not much point taking all of this out of the bag. It's sort of neat as it is. I don't want to go messing it up. You back in there, and I'll put those back in later. And then the final bag, I'm not quite sure what's in there. So I guess that means we're going to have a look, doesn't it? So from the looks of things, I think this might be more prototypes and early designs of patterns. Let's have a look. So straight off the bat, I can see a couple of squishmallows. There's a bunch of those. It looks like there's a couple more chunky patterns here. I've got my big old mandrakes. I promoted the purple mandrake to sitting in my background over here, but I think it might be out of the frame. So there's the purple one. What else have we got in here? There's my little tiger. My cuttlefish. There's a rainbow fish. Possibly my favourite book as a kid. I used to love the Rainbow Fish series. I'm sort of wary of tipping this out now because I don't have any space, so we might just have to look through the bag like so. But from what I can see, these are prototypes of patterns that I've already designed. So there's another duck. I've got my Minecraft frog, which there's the blue one again. I don't know if you can see it. Minecraft frog. So this is the prototype. But yeah, essentially this is just a bag of doubles. So you would have seen all of these pieces before, and rather than making more of a mess, I'm just going to leave them in there for now. But that means I can combine that bag with the bag I did earlier from the first chest, which is all the way over there now. But I can combine those two, so I'll have all my prototypes and duplicates in one. The rest of this stuff, I think I can just put back in the chest. I will touch base with my sisters and actually get an affirmative answer on whether or not they plan to do a market again. If they don't, I will firstly see if my nibblings want any of these toys, and if they don't, I will probably donate them in the hopes that some kids or even adults out there might appreciate them. So that is the plan for now, and I think that's it, because that's all the amigurumi I have sort of stored away. There's actually probably less than I thought there was going to be, which is a good thing. It means there's less that I have to sort through, and it feels good to have it sorted and to have a plan for what I want to do with all of it. So I know what I want to repurpose, I know what I want to donate, I know what I want to keep. I like it when things are organized like that. So I'm just going to pack all this away nice and neatly, but don't go anywhere yet, because we have one last thing left to do before we finish up here. Now, I apologize for not doing the hookup last week in last week's video, but there was a little bit of a complication in that I couldn't talk. I had a sore throat and I lost my voice for almost a week, so that is why there was no hookup last week. But today we are going to make up for that with our featured creator, Amber. And she says, "I'm a bit of a crazy nerd. I like to dabble in a lot of different crafts. I am most passionate about crochet though. I messed around off and on for years, but when my daughter was born, it became a true hobby." That's really nice, and I hope, Amber, that your daughter got all the cool crochet stuff. I'm sure she did. I'm sure she did. Amber has not left any links for us here today. However, I would like you all to go down into the comments and just say what your favourite piece of hers was. For me personally, I am digging this. I think it's a tote bag. It looks like a granny square tote bag to me, but the colours are Chef's Kiss. And I guess all that's left to say now is a huge thank you to my patrons for your continued support. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Share it if you think it's worth sharing. And I'll see you all next week with another video. And keep in mind, she's probably buried under a ton of other amigurumi right now, but the Jinx, the spider pattern, should have seen that coming. The Jinx, the spider pattern is available on Patreon, but it will also be available on Etsy. Etsy is the word. It will also be available on Etsy at some point in the future too. Bye everyone.